Hi, everyone, and welcome to our interview today. My name is Brielle Jaekel. I'm the editorial lead of FreightWaves, and I am here with Marina Ivanov, who is the co-founder and managing director of Apex Transit. And today we're going to talk about practical steps that owner-operators and small fleets can take in scaling to a larger operation. And, we're really getting the information from somebody who's pretty much done it themselves. Hi, Marina. Thanks for coming on with me today. Can you just describe a little bit about your story?
Sure. Hi, Brielle. Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very passionate about the trucking industry and been following FreightWaves for a while, so it's great to be on here. But I started off in trucking actually in 2005. My dad was an owner-operator, and I drove around with him, and I understood what it was like for him to be in the driver's seat and deal with all the issues that the drivers deal with. And I actually told myself, I'm never going to get into trucking. But the world, it's never say never. Life brought me back into it. And in 2013, my husband and I purchased our first truck with his brother and started a partnership. And we built it up to about 80 trucks now. We're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and want to keep growing.
That's awesome. It's interesting just to hear everyone's stories from starting from just one truck and then growing it to such a big operation. I think it's really fun or cool to see that trajectory.
Thank you, Brielle. Yeah, it was a piece of cake, actually. It was super easy. I'm sure.
Can you tell me some of the challenges you've experienced or other common challenges that owner-operators and small fleets will face when trying to scale their operations?
Absolutely. Do you have a whole day? There's a lot of challenges, Brielle. Number one, for me, was just the knowledge. A lot of folks who open up a trucking company will do it because it's in the family industry or they've seen somebody else who will do it. Not a lot of folks actually have a background in logistics. So there's a lot of information that we don't know when we get started. And that's the biggest stumbling block, where you can make a lot of mistakes by not knowing what you're supposed to know ahead of time. I think that would be the first one. The second challenge would be cash flow. It takes a lot of expenses and investment to keep adding onto the trucks. And then when you just started off, your credit history is not as robust as someone else who's been doing it for a little while. So that would be the second challenge, and knowing where to go and to get that credit in order to grow. And then finding the right people, understanding what you need to grow. Those are just a few. Would you like me to elaborate on that?
Yes, sure.
Speaking on the challenges that we have faced personally and growing, it was just a sheer amount of work or manpower that is needed to run a trucking company. You're on 24/7. So when you are a one-man hour operation, or just got a few trucks and a few people helping you out, it is a 24/7 job. You're getting calls in the middle of the night. My husband was the one who actually did all the periodic maintenance on the trucks. He was a mechanic and he was a driver as well. So he was gone, and I felt like a single mom working for a long time. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is also just the amount of time it takes to take a company running, because you'll have to put in sweat equity at the start of your company.
Right. So it's a lot of doing everything yourself and all the hard work before you can really get that capital. And in your experience, what do you think are some key factors that really contribute to a successful expansion for a trucking company from a small to a larger one?
Yeah, absolutely. I know it sounds kind of cliche and vague, but perseverance and vision is huge, in my opinion, where you have to be able to have grit and strength to get through some very, very challenging times, and have a vision, have a plan, see yourself, whatever it is that you want to be, how many trucks you want to achieve, and just make that a goal that is unshakable, that this is what I'm going for. I'm not going to stop until I get there, because the challenges and the obstacles are so great that if you're not 100% in and committed to growing, it's not going to happen. Maybe we'll have 21 again, where everything just falls in our lap, and it was great post-COVID and pandemonium. But it's not, we're going to go back to the regular boom and bust cycles, and there'll be challenges. And it is a difficult industry, but it's also a great industry to grow. I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to grow to the size that we have been. And there's definitely a lot of opportunity. We have to be willing to go after it.
I really do miss 2021 when everything was just like, look how amazing this industry is. It's just nonstop. But, I talked to a lot of experts then that it wasn't going to last. And yeah, you're right. It did not.
And we are in a cycle that is very, very down. I've heard a lot of people say they've never seen anything like this. And it's a challenging time to be an owner operator or a small business owner at this time. I hear a lot of folks who are parking their trucks. It just does not make sense to run. And that makes sense to me. That's something that needs to be done. But I also am very cognizant of the fact that folks who are putting their life savings into buying their truck and the trailer, and everything is on the line for them. And I'm so glad that you all are doing this event so you can learn from people who have scaled up and understand that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. This cycle will go back up. We'll get through it. And there's certain things that you can do as a small company to keep your costs down and to keep your wheels turning.
Yeah. So I work in the newsroom here, and I can't wait for the day when it's happy headlines instead of all of these negative press that we've been covering. I mean, it's almost depressing how many negative stories we have. And it's not that we want to keep pushing a negative narrative, but it's, we have to cover what's going on. And unfortunately, it's not the best time.
Absolutely, Brielle. And I'm an eternal optimist. Everyone who knows that about me, I'm a cheerleader in the office, and I'll come in and they're like, I believe in the unicorn at the end of the rainbow. I know that even in tough times, there are people who are thriving, and there are people who are just surviving, and there are people who are going out of business. And there's some circumstances out of your control, but some circumstances are in your control. So I always encourage everyone to look at what can you control and go ahead and laser and focus on how to make those things better. It is your customer service. It is your communication. It is your costs that you have access to controlling. Look into that and start, cutting down your costs, start improving your customer service. Be the best that you can be. And at the end of the day, if that wasn't enough, at least you did the best that you could.
Right. That's great advice. So one thing that kept popping up when we were really in the throes of COVID and, everything's falling apart and supply chains people are realizing what a mess supply chains are. This theme of partnerships and working together and really branching out and kind of becoming friends, not enemies, and, with vendors and competitors and everything. Was a theme I kept hearing about. How important do you think it is to make strategic partnerships in the industry?
It's beyond important. It is critical in this industry. I know that at times when you just start, you just get the load off the load board, one and done, and just keep running it that way. If we started our business that way and we continued that way, we would not be where we are. It was all about strategic partnership, understanding the lanes that we want to run, sticking with those, providing great service and communication to our customers. And at the end of the day, they'll come back to you. So strategic partnerships are everything. Without it in this industry, you will not survive, especially in these hard times. So I always encourage folks to go out there and build those relationships. If there's a lane that works for you, service the heck out of it. Keep reaching out and say, I'm here. I want to haul the freight for you. And keep, be persistent, be that squeaky wheel.
Yeah, on the other side of things, when everything was tight and there was, you couldn't get a truck because or to deliver your, any of your shipments because it was so, crazy during 2020, I believe it was. People would tell me, it's the strong partnerships that you go to. This trucking company chooses this shipper because they have a strong connection with them and they don't want to let it go. When they have to choose between all these different shipments to take, they'll choose the partner that they've been working with, that they have a strong connection with. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. And to an extent, the majority of the time that happens, but we do see in an industry where we have, as a carrier, been loyal and committed and kept a fair rate during the time that maybe there was a lot of gouging going on. When the freight market turns around, at the end of the day, we will be squeezed as well. So I just think the best thing is to be fair to both sides, to try to find a win-win and stay committed to those partners. And, and look for the loyalty, the people who value your service and are loyal to you. So that could be challenging. There's not enough freight to go around and you just need to take anything to pay the bills. It it doesn't take much to be respectful and kind to everyone you come across with, because this industry is actually really small. Everybody knows each other eventually. Somehow they're connected, that they work somewhere else. So if you burn bridges and you're pissed off or mad about how something got handled, and there's no such thing as getting away with it. Bite your tongue, be respectful, and build those partnerships.
We were talking a little bit before we came on about associations.
Yeah.
Are you involved in a lot of associations?
Absolutely. So in 2019, we joined the North Carolina Trucking Association. And I really didn't think that there was going to be a lot of value for us in it, because at that time, I think we had like 18 to 20 trucks. And, we're in a room with folks who have thousands of trucks. And it felt, as a small carrier, like we were just little fish and not really moving the needle much. But I was pleasantly surprised about how much our voice is needed to represent the small carriers, the folks who are under 100 trucks. We are the majority of the trucks out on the road. And so our challenges, our voices are often not represented because there's not enough people speaking up for us. So I got really involved in advocacy work for especially the small trucking companies. And the associations give you the chance for your voice to be heard, where we go on calls in Washington with the ATA. We go to our state capitol and speak on laws and bills that would actually hurt our industry or things that could help us. And we're always promoting that. And then within that, there's also education. Right now, I'm hosting a panel called What I Wish I Knew About Trucking. And it's a lunch and learn. It's free to new and upcoming members. And we just provide value. There's 3 or 4 trucking executives who have made a lot of mistakes. And we tell you, this is what I made a huge mistake on. This is where I got fined for. This is where I wish I could do differently. Here is the value that we're at. We're letting you know now, because we want those the companies that care about their business to thrive and survive and to win. We want those folks who are interested in being the safest and the best carriers to be the ones we're competing against versus the ones who are not doing those things.
Now, we're running a little bit out of time, but for my last question, I just wanted to ask how much technology, because in the other session that I had, we talked a lot about technology and how the way technology is today, since it's all web-based and app-based, you don't have to really change your entire operation to use the newest technology. You can kind of play around with it. How do you feel that, how important do you feel technology is when it comes to, trucking, being in a small fleet or larger fleet?
Yeah, great question, Brielle. Without it, we wouldn't be able to grow. And that's one of the things I talk about in my panel, is that I wish I would have utilized technology sooner. We were early adapters of the cameras, in forward and rear facing cameras, started those in 2019, but things such as a TMS, when you start off and you're paying it, I would pay my drivers on a trip sheet on a piece of paper and calculate it. They would come in my office, meet with me, would chat, I hear about their day. It was nice to keep it that small, but as you scale, you must have some kind of a TMS or some technology that helps you keep track of that, because it's just impossible to grow in any other way.
Yeah, I think what's helpful about technology today is that even the work-based things are now reflective of your personal apps. So it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier of a interface, like a user experience, and which is totally not the case when new business technology first came out. Even just 5-10 years ago, it was it was much different than technology today that I feel like is more intuitive. Is there any besides TMS? Is there any other fun ways that you incorporate technology?
Yeah, so we do have the ELD and the cameras, but that helps us see how we use that for safety in terms of helping the drivers understand their behaviors and make it a little bit competitive. Everybody wants to get the best score and win a little bit. So that's been a really great feature for us. We've had an excellent safety score because of that. And yeah, technology is growing at such a rapid pace. It's so worth the time and an investment. I hated going through all the TMS demos and all of the other demos, but it's so needed. Once it's done, You commit to it. No program is going to be perfect, but at least you got something.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for today. But thank you so much for coming on with me and giving us all this great advice, I want to say.
Thank you, Brielle. I appreciate you having me. And I just want to really encourage everyone that's out there right now that I know you're struggling. There's a lot of people that are struggling. Just hold on. And this too shall pass. It always has. Like what goes up must come down and eventually come back up. So we're just going to make smarter decisions going forward, be the best that we can be and move forward.
Absolutely. That's a great advice. I love that you said that. And I hope we inspired some people to, keep going and keep growing.